Hi, welcome to the Miller Life Kitchen. Today I am pressure canning French onion soup. Okay, I'm gonna get my butter going. This is 4 tablespoons of butter. This is a 14-quart stock pot. So I'm gonna melt my butter and then we're going to put in the onions. I have approximately 5 pounds of onions. I did, some of these were really big, so this is probably about 5 pounds, maybe a little bit more. They do reduce down though, so I'm not worried about having too many onions. I covered them with foil because, whew, they're strong. Y'all don't need to see me crying, do you? But let's get the butter melted and then I will bring you back. Okay, sorry you have to look around my stove here. But anyway, so I have the butter melting down. I'm going to be putting my onions in next. And that is gonna take about 45 minutes to an hour to get them to caramelize. So I'm gonna put my onions in here and I slice these by hand. I don't really have, I've started out doing it, which I haven't done this in, I think, 2 years since I did onion soup because I made a big batch last time. So I had enough, I just ran out. But I started out with my food processor and I don't know, that's too small because if you think about it, we're gonna be pressure canning this as well. I didn't want to have disintegrated onions. So I went to make, you know, larger slices because these will reduce down for sure. And I don't want it to be disintegrated when it all cooks down and then I've pressure canned it. All right, so we're going to give this a good stir here and there, but you do want to kind of let them sit. That's how you're going to get them to start caramelizing. And I'll bring you back for some updates during that process and let you know how much time it's been. Here we are at about 20 minutes in, and I did salt this because, about a teaspoon, because salt helps sweat the onions so you get more of the water out of them. So, sorry, I like got you all over the place, make you seasick. Yeah, so you can see there's still a good bit of water in the bottom. So that's what needs to happen. We need to sweat the water out so they will caramelize. So that's the process that I'm doing. This, like I said, this is about 20 minutes in. It also depends how thick your onions are and also how many onions you have and how they're distributed in your, you know, pots, like how thick or deep, I should say, it is. So these probably will take, I'm guessing, the hour, more on that higher end. They seem to have a lot of liquid. This is part yellow and part white onions. I had a bunch I had to use up that I had got from the local farmer over the summer. So I wanted to use some of them up, and that's my combo. All right, this is about 40 minutes in, and I want to show you how you start to know when you're going to begin to get caramelization. See how it's starting to stick to the pot a little bit? That's when you know you're getting close. Now, we don't want to cook these like we're making jam, where they're real nice and dark, dark, dark. But we do want to caramelize them a little bit, slightly. But yeah, it's going to start sticking to the pan, and you can see when I move this around, see how all of that water reduced? That's how you get the caramelization, reducing the water out of it, and medium high. I have it at about a 6 on my stove, so depends on your stove how hot it gets. But then from there, this is the next step in our ingredients. It's going to be 6 cups of broth, and I am using the low sodium Better Than Bouillon roast beef to make beef broth. Then I have 3 bay leaves, which actually I'm going to throw those in right now. 3 bay leaves. They're in. You're going to have thyme. I'll put all the measurements in the description box with the recipe. About a half a cup of wine. This is white wine. You want a dry white wine. I'm not putting any more salt in because I told you in the beginning I did do a teaspoon of salt to kind of draw the moisture out of my onions. I'm going to use garlic powder and Worcestershire sauce. Yeah, I think that's everything. Just glancing over at my recipe. Yeah. White wine, beef broth, garlic, salt, thyme, black pepper, and the bay leaves. Yep, that's everything. Okay. All right. I'm going to tilt this a little so you can see better. But see how they are getting caramelized? And look how much these have cooked down. Right? What? That was a big pile of onions. It's not that big anymore. Oops, sorry about the steam. But you're getting a slight, getting a little bit of sediment from the onions cooking down and caramelizing on the bottom of my pan. And that's what we were looking for. So now I'm going to add in my liquids. So as I had mentioned, it's going to be 6 cups of beef broth. So this is a 4-cup measuring, and this is a 2. I am using the Better Than Bouillon, low sodium. I'm going to melt that in there. Stuff's so sticky, isn't it? It's good though. Okay. All right, got that in there. Bay leaves are in there already, and my other dry spices. Now I'm just gonna do some Worcestershire. I like that, so I put in probably a little more than most people. And then my white wine. And that is everything that we are gonna need. I'm gonna let this simmer for about 10-ish minutes, and then we are gonna start filling up the jars. At the end of that 10 minutes, I am gonna remove my bay leaves. Some people leave them in or put 1 per jar. I'm not a huge fan of bay leaf. I want it to bring out flavors, but I particularly don't like when something tastes bitter. In my opinion, it's just my opinion. I'm not a big fan of bay leaves, so I'm just putting in for this simmering part, and then out they go. And I use 3 whole ones, that way they're very easy to find. We'll be back. Okay, I have, bring over here a little bit. As you can see, here is the soup. So I tasted it, and I decided to add a little bit of chicken bouillon because sometimes it gives it a nice flavor having some beef as well as the chicken bouillon, and then it was spot on. All the other flavors were great. So now we're going to start filling our jars. Now what I'm going to do first is get some onions in there. Now this is small batch canning, so this, I'm thinking maybe 3 to 4 quarts. But we'll see. I want to do the jar half full or a little bit more with my onions. And then I'm going to try to get the rest to be the liquid. You're going to go to 1-inch headspace. Now, technically, You really don't have to debubble, but it's a good idea to just kind of keep that in practice. And then I am going to, got stuff on here. Take off my funnel, wipe the rims. I don't have vinegar on here. I'm just wiping it. So there is nothing on the edge of your jar because that would make it possibly not seal if you have any sediment on your rim. I'm gonna put on my lid, and I've had people comment, oh, you know, you're using ball. These, I am a hoarder when it came to canning lids. So I have canning lids that are still pre-pandemic. So I haven't had any problems at all, but I haven't really purchased any. Oh, I forgot my lifter. So when sales were going on for canning lids at the end of the seasons all the time, sometimes they were like $1. So why wouldn't you buy a bunch of them? You know, back then we weren't worried about who knew what was gonna happen. But anyway, so there's my jar. Beautiful. My canner's warming up over here on the stove. I have my little Presto warming up. And you're just gonna continue that process. This is a great base for things too. You don't always have to use it as a soup. You can use it in with like a beef roast. I like to do a crock pot with venison roast. It's really good. Gives it a great, nice base. Very flavorful. All right, so I did about a little over half of onion. Now I'm going to get it up to 1 inch headspace with the actual broth. Like in slow motion here, aren't I? Just how it is. It's one of those days. Okay, debubble. Not entirely necessary, but I just kind of always do it that way. It's one of those steps that you don't forget then if you do it every time. Just making sure my rim is free of anything. My lid. And I'm going to tighten. Don't over tighten. And the fingertip tight thing, I don't know. I belong to a lot of groups online, and I don't know. I feel like sometimes fingertip tight people make them too loose. Like to me, that's a smidge too loose. So I just do a little, I'm not cranking it, but I'm making sure it's firm. You don't want it to be not tight enough because that's a problem too. All right, here they are. I did end up with 3. I had actually almost a 4th one that I decided to keep for dinner. But what I am going to do is fill in this space with some Rebel canning of dried beans. So I'm not going to show you that. I don't really Rebel can, but I do beans sometimes when I need to fill in some spaces. I did do pints because they can do the same processing time of 75 minutes. But here is my end result, all 3 seals. They look great. Thank you for watching, and please consider hitting the like button and subscribing. I'll see you next time at the Miller Life Kitchen. Bye.